Right now on ABC 10 News at 4 o'clock, a series of late-breaking developments, including the surprise release of Bill Cosby from prison. We'll talk with one of his accusers about the judge's decision to overturn Cosby's conviction for sexual assault. Plus, the city now trying to get millions of dollars back for an office building it barely got to use. And La Jolla's 4th of July fireworks show is now off. What the mayor just revealed about why the event has been canceled.
ABC 10 News at 4 starts now.
We begin with the developing story that we first brought you as breaking news on ABC 10 News at 11 a.m. This is iconic comedian Bill Cosby arriving back to his home after being surprisingly released from prison. Good afternoon. I'm Kimberly Hunt. Today, a judge overturned Cosby's conviction for sexual assault for technical reasons. He had been accused by dozens of women, but was convicted in one case and served 3 years of his sentence. A previous prosecutor promised not to charge Cosby, and that led him to speak freely. And it was that testimony that a later prosecutor eventually used to charge him. Today, a Pennsylvania Supreme Court judge ruled that was wrong. And among those reacting to the news is a longtime Fallbrook resident. She is one of the women who accused Cosby of sexual assault. ABC 10 News reporter Michael Chen reveals why she isn't devastated by the stunning decision.
Bill Cosby no longer behind bars. His conviction overturned 3 years into a 10-year sentence.
Oh, I was shocked. I was just totally surprised and taken unawares.
We last talked to Tamara Green in Fallbrook in 2014. Back in the late 60s, Green was in Hollywood with the dream of becoming an actress. She met Cosby, who took her under his wing. She says their relationship turned sour when she got sick one day and he gave her 2 capsules. Green says she started to feel weak and couldn't walk.
He had his hands all over me, his face all over me. I mean, I'm like... And, you know, I can't say that he raped me, but he sexually assaulted me in my own bed, in my own home, without my permission and totally against my will.
Afraid she wouldn't be believed, she didn't come forward until 2005 to support the other women accusing Cosby. Green, an attorney since the 80s, says she accepts the court's decision, pointing out he's free because of a procedural issue.
Bill Cosby was not acquitted of the crime with which he was charged. Nobody said he did not do this.
On this day, Green feels for the other accusers, but says she herself is not distraught.
If he were 35 years old and at the top of his game, and he did 3 years, that would irritate me, no question. But he's an 83-year-old man who did 3 years in prison in his 80s. That might be 50% of his life.
Green says she hopes Cosby won't waste his life as a free man.
And I hope that he has the good sense to do something good with his fame and his platform.
Michael Chen, ABC 10 News.
Green moved to Florida several years ago. She says she's hopeful the prosecutors will appeal the ruling all the way to the Supreme Court. Following Cosby's release from prison, we take an in-depth look at how we got to this point. In January 2004, Andrea Constand said Cosby drugged and assaulted her at his home. She went to police in January of 2005, but in February, the district attorney in that county said Cosby would not be charged. She sued Cosby in March of that year. In November 2006, Cosby settled the case with her, and both signed a confidentiality agreement. Jumping to 2014, comedian Hannibal Buress called Cosby out during a stand-up routine that went viral. More women came forward to accuse Cosby, which led to the Associated Press petitioning to have the 2005 lawsuit unsealed. And that request was granted in July of 2015. Cosby's case was reopened in August, and he was arrested in December. We spoke with legal expert Wendy Patrick.
So once things began to unravel, what we saw is what we often see in sexual assault cases. More victims found their voice and were empowered and enabled, safety in numbers, to come forward and explain that they too were victims of Bill Cosby.
In June of 2017, Cosby went on trial. After 6 days of deliberation, a mistrial was declared after jurors couldn't reach a unanimous verdict. During his retrial in March of 2018, a judge made a significant decision despite objections from Cosby's team.
The ruling the second time around was that more witnesses could testify who had also been assaulted by Mr. Cosby. That was something the jury didn't hear the first time around.
In April of 2018, the jury convicted Cosby of 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. Another bombshell today. The Wall Street Journal is reporting the first charges will be filed tomorrow against former President Donald Trump's business. According to the report, the Manhattan District Attorney will charge the Trump Organization with tax fraud. And close Trump ally as CFO Alan Weiselberg is also expected to be charged. Trump himself is not expected to be charged. He has called the investigation a politically motivated witch hunt. More charges are possible in the future. New developments in the multi-million-dollar city debacle. The city wanted to get a new office building, but after spending lots of taxpayer money, it was found to be too dangerous to move in. And now the city is trying to get some of that money back. ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer Kastner is live outside that building. Jen, there's a lot of finger pointing over how this major deal fell apart.
Yeah, there's a lot of concern about who knew what and when. You can see behind me inside of the lobby of the building, all of that plastic tarp covering off various areas. The building's been closed for months after problems like asbestos were found. Today, attorneys for one of the taxpayers who sued over the project sounded off. Standing by the embattled 101 Ash Street building Wednesday, major questions were raised about how the deal went down.
There is corruption here.
Attorney Michael Aguirre and his team are representing taxpayer John Gordon, who a year ago brought a corruption lawsuit against the city and officials to set aside the $200 million taxpayer-funded Ash Street building lease purchase agreement.
Mr. Gordon's taxpayer lawsuit sought to void the agreement so that the hemorrhaging would stop completely.
This week, in an effort to recoup $44 million in losses, City Attorney Mara Elliott sued to void the 101 Ash Street deal and a related deal, citing anti-corruption law and claiming that the real estate broker who negotiated the deals, Jason Hughes, acted as a volunteer under then-Mayor Kevin Faulconer, but received millions in unreported compensation.
The 3 things that we wanted to say is, when did the city attorney's office find out about the illegal payment to Jason Hughes? 2, how did they find out about the illegal payment? And 3, who did they tell?
In a statement from Jason Hughes' attorney, he wrote in part that Hughes has never been paid a penny by the city or the taxpayers for his involvement in the transactions. He has been transparent with the city from day one, and at all times he has acted ethically and in full compliance with the laws and regulations applicable to the city's business. For much of the last 5 years, the building has sat empty. The city tried to move 1,100 employees in, but officials discovered problems on the site's 19 floors. In December of 2019, the city finally moved workers in, only to push them out a month later when the county detected asbestos. And we contacted the city attorney's office earlier today for an interview, but they declined to provide one. Reporting live from downtown, Jennifer Kastner, ABC 10 News.
Jennifer, thank you. A major reversal. The 4th of July fireworks show planned for La Jolla Cove is now canceled. We've been covering the battle over the proposed show all week. And today, the city revealed organizers of the event didn't request a permit until just 20 days ago. Mayor Todd Gloria's office says that just wasn't enough time. The Coastal Commission requires 60 days notice. Gloria's staff says it will work with organizers on alternatives to celebrate, including the use of the EB Scripps Park. In the last half hour, the Miami-Dade mayor said that 2 victims had been pulled from the collapsed condominium, raising the confirmed death toll to 18. 145 people remain missing. Workers searching for a 7th day face dwindling odds and continued bad weather. Federal search and rescue teams are now on the ground to help free up state resources to respond to approaching storms. President Biden will visit the site tomorrow to console family members and meet with first responders.
An estimated 1 in 5 patients receive a surprise medical bill after surgery or a visit to the emergency room. The No Surprises Act, signed into law back in December, aims to prevent patients from getting surprise medical bills in most cases when they're receiving out-of-network care. But the details of this law are still being worked out. The first set of regulations for how it will be worked out is expected as soon as tomorrow.
Key things that we're looking for is, first of all, to make sure that the consent provisions that basically waive all of those consumer protections are written in a way that consumers aren't unknowingly signing away their protections.
Patricia Kelmar with the U.S. Public Interest Research Group is following the regulation process. The nonprofit is concerned about loopholes. State regulators not having clear enforcement power to stop surprise billing either.
If consumer consent language is not readable, if it varies from hospital to hospital and it gets put into a stack with many other consent forms that you might be signing, that's not what was intended by Congress when they passed the No Surprises protections. And that's what we want to make sure the regulators understand and clearly lay out.
Something else consumer advocates are pushing for is an arbitration system that won't inflate healthcare costs. Under the law, if providers and insurers can't agree on a reimbursement amount, the issue can go to an independent arbitrator. Now, air ambulances are included in the ban on surprise medical bills, but ground ambulances are not. But the law did set up an advisory committee to make some recommendations for protections, which some states currently offer. But the high costs are leading some people to sign up for ambulance subscriptions. Now, this is really best for someone with a condition where they might need an ambulance regularly, and you have to make sure the ambulance that arrives is from the company that you're subscribing to. The surprise medical billing changes are set to take effect in January.